Hello everybody, my name is Angel Hester and welcome to Space Engineers. Now today I am here to show you the Planetary Lander Mark II. Now for those of you who remember my Mark I, yeah, it was fairly an ugly duckling that got the job done, while my Mark II, as you can see, yeah, it keeps the boxy like structure. However, what's the point of mirroring if it doesn't work? Anyway, as you can see, yeah, it retains the boxy like structure. However, there was more attention to detail in this particular build, and you can see the videos of this game being built down below in the description, where I actually do show some building techniques with large ships on how, and this was the ship that was used. However, unlike the one that you see in that video, this one, as with the Mark I, are vanilla designs. The one that you see in the multiplayer has tiered mod thrusters, so that way it's more powerful. This I do know works in atmosphere in conjunction with the ion thrusters, so you still don't need hydrogen thrusters to get in or out of orbit. So then, some of the design changes. Well, aesthetically, it was one idea. Also, this one has solar panels. That way, instead of draining the hydrogen, or not hydrogen, instead of draining the uranium, sorry, one of the mods I use is a hydrogen reactor, so, but this has large nuclear reactors instead. Otherwise, another thing that bothered me with the Mark I was the fact that there were no atmospheric thrusters in any of the directions except to go up. So this one, learning the lessons from this lander, has atmospheric thrusters that go in all directions except to help it go down. Reason being, you're going to utilize gravity to bring you down. The only thing, otherwise you have the ion thrusters, but like I said, gravity's going to do the most. Now, this is probably the Mark 2.1 because I added the thrusters back here. Well, it has twice the number of atmospheric thrusters to push it forward, just because you're going to move forward when using this instead of going back or side to side. Well, you might stray for a reverse, but in general, you're going to move forward. Now, despite its massive size, it does have some get up and go, but more on that later. So, we fly back here. The back end is the engineering section, but we'll show you that on the inside. Otherwise, this has twice the number of landing gears. You could probably add more, but just for my builds and my own sanity, I opted to stick with 8. I mean, they're positioned in places that actually look aesthetically like it's supposed to be there. Not to mention, for a single player like me who plays predominantly by himself, because no one likes me, you really don't need more than the 8, in theory, to move cargo between planets. If you're a part of a Space Engineers faction, you can add more, but just know that there's going to be a lot of added challenges. Otherwise, if we fly over here to this lovely airlock, also you can see some of the changes. This includes windows. This is the more luxurious, if you can call it that, the more luxurious version in the Lander series. Basically, this is a multi-purpose planetary lander. So if we fly into here with these very nice caution lights, just so that way you don't run into a spot of bother where you need to get inside. Either your helmet is off and you need oxygen. We're in creative, so, or what have you. The lights kind of give an indication, hey, here's the door. So if we fly in here, there is a dual airlock system as per usual. I should probably install a light at some point in there, but otherwise, I know it looks barren, but this is where the multi-purpose comes in. Now, this has a multitude of possibilities, and for me, I kind of like the barren look just because it's open for construction purposes. Like, if it was for me, I'd probably keep it the way it is, because if it's just me, then I don't have a purpose other than to look good. However, one of the possibilities you can do is, like right here could be a little cafeteria area or living space. If it was me, I'd probably use this area as the living space just because it's in the center. It would keep the passengers and crew safe from any external threats like pirates or the occasional meteorite. So if the rest of the ship does get depressurized, this area would be at least pressurized for the inhabitants. Now, you can't see it, but within the actual little engine pods that you saw on the outside, there are batteries and gyroscopes in here simply because the thing needed more gyroscopes than I initially realized. Again, it was in a few of the multiplayer, in between the multiplayer episodes, where it didn't have the maneuverability, so I filled them with well, this one already had batteries. This one used to have oxygen generators and tanks, but I opted to replace those. Speaking of which, I never showed you the outside. Oh, ignore the black stripe. That was there for me to know where the center line was when I was building this. But as you can see, we have a vent down here. This is because currently, I don't know if the devs are going to change it, but currently you can suck out the oxygen in a planetary atmosphere and put it into your ships. And that is what this Planetary Lander is designed to do. So when you land, you refill the oxygen tanks that way. In theory, you shouldn't need to use ice, but there are a few oxygen generators just in case. So, let's go back in. So this would probably be the habitation area, and these would be like the commons area. You'd probably have a few seats so you can look out into space and possibly the thruster melting the window. Anyway, so as we fly back here, this is where some of the oxygen generator and tanks are, and they're connected to these vents right here, mirrored on both sides. Aesthetically, I kind of like this. This would probably be the mess hall area or recreational area where you'd have pool tables, ping pong, what have you, and what other amenities a crew or passenger type would want. Basically, the ship could serve two functions: either a pure transport where it's just a crew of people, or a passenger ship where you would have, well, this is pretty beefy for a passenger ship, but you would probably install a second level up here. Actually, that's a good project. I think I will try to build a passenger and freight version of this. It'll give me something to do. Anyway, so as we go into here, we are greeted by this lovely network of piping and what have you. This is the engineering area. Basically, it's as the name states. It has all the amenities we need to keep this ship fully functional. As you can see, we got more gyros. I wanted everything accessible, that way if you had to do a little maintenance, you can actually fix the ones up in here. The only downside is you cannot fix the batteries or gyroscopes within the engine areas, but sacrifices had to be made somewhere, unfortunately. If I was going to redesign this, I'd probably just say those are just batteries. I probably might install some batteries in here just so that way they can be serviced, but again, that'll give me something to do later. Otherwise, as you can see, it has quite a bit of oxygen tanks, just because you never know. If you don't utilize the light speed mod or any speed mods that I use, or any mods in general, it has quite a bit of oxygen tanks just in case. I mean, you could even install a few going down, but I don't know. A lot of my ships, as you will come to find, are user-friendly in that you don't have to remove a lot of the blocks. You can just add whatever you want. So if you want pure vanilla, this ship is ready to go. If you want it modded, this ship is still ready to go. You may have to remove thrusters if you want colored, or in my case, colored tiered thrusters, but hey, everyone's different. Otherwise, we have the reactors. If you've seen this in between the multiplayer episodes, you'll know that I went with a Death Star-esque design where the reactors actually looked like the second Death Stars, where you had the, well, just check it out. It was actually pretty fun. Otherwise, oh yeah, it does have a medical bay, simply because this is engineering. Really, you don't want to worry the people too much of the likelihood of death, but this doesn't have an airlock system, mainly because that particular area wouldn't be pressurized, but even if it was, because it does have a vent for the people inside, I don't know, I'll probably install one, but I don't know. Some user feedback would be nice. Otherwise, I know this area isn't lit. That's because, again, I'm not good with lighting, and DirectX 11 is far different than DirectX 9. But otherwise, this area, again, would probably be recreational or whatever you would need this to be, but it has a much better... if this was a passenger ship, this would probably be first class or business class or whatever upper class you would have, because it doesn't have any of the ugly view of the thrusters, or at least as much. Like right here, nothing. While if we were to fly, say, over here... Oh, that's right there. Let's go... Oh, right. Oh. So this would probably be first class. Now if we fly into here, makeshift airlock, I'll probably change this to where the airlock is on this side, but this side is the bridge. And once again, it's fairly open, but a lot of bridges are just simply this. Again, it lets you customize and what have you. Let's just save, just being on the safe side. But otherwise, as you can see, this thing is 3 times the mass as the Mark 1. But it still has some get up and go. But really, once it moves, really you would fly with the inertia dampeners off, just because you'd want to save on power, resources, and all that. But otherwise, yeah, it's a beaut. One of my better designs, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. As you can see, it's a bit sluggish, but it's not really designed to maneuver. It's more designed to, again, transport between one planet to another. Or a planet to an outpost. Or an outpost to a planet. Who knows? It's pretty much an all-round ship, except for combat. Ooh, that's another idea. A combat version. A military transport version. I don't know, if I built that out of heavy armor, I don't know if it would move. I could probably cut corners by, no, military you can't cut corners. But, I digress. And it also has these little side, little control panels, just because these would be the people that you would have engaging the locking mechanisms, and mainly the pilot would be right here, basically flying the ship. People in these consoles would be worried about, like, I don't know, this guy could be worried about the oxygen generators. This guy could probably be the chief medical officer, chief engineering officer, monitoring the power and other systems. This guy could probably be the loading specialist, basically trying to ensure that the cargo is safe and none of the landing gears are malfunctioning because someone left a ship's inertia dampeners on, and the thrusters are starting to damage one of the, well, landing gear. And I don't think I showed it, but yes. It does have a large cargo container, so if you do run into a spot of bother where, oh, we need to do maintenance, you can easily access it through the oxygen tanks. I'll probably replace this with a, you know what, I'll do that now. It makes sense. So basically, you would fly up here, get the supplies, and then fly wherever you needed to do maintenance. So yeah, that's pretty much this ship in a nutshell. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. As with the other one, the other Planetary Lander, this can be found in my Steam workshop down below in the description. Anyway, so, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye.